Okay, hi. Today's video is going to be slightly different. And if you have any questions, please do send me a message via my website, macjunkie.com. Or if you have a question, just put it down below and hopefully we can get, well, not hopefully, I will get to it and I will get back to you. So today's video is going to be slightly different. If you remember on Monday, I was talking about how I was going to change my, my workflow and tools and apps that I wanted to use. And I was going to try it out for a week to see how I'm going to get, how I was going to get on. And this Friday, being today, I wanted to go through how I do it. Most of this is going to be within Basecamp because Basecamp is the tool that I'm using, and it's, for me, simply the best tool I've ever come across in working with my clients. And if you're a coach, a facilitator, or even if you're working on your own, actually, it works really well. So what I'm going to do, I've got my phone recording, so I'm going to go show you a couple of things there. I've also got screen recording. So how I usually work with my clients is that I send them an email outlining what we're going to be doing, send an invoice, and then put that information into their Basecamp, into their project, the workspace. I would rather call it a workspace. So basically I can communicate with the client. So if we go over to the computer, you can see my client Cosmo Kramer. If anyone's interested in Seinfeld, Seinfeld is like my Bible, actually. So I've created a client called Cosmo Kramer. His company is called Kramerica Industries, and this is just a very brief what I'm going to be doing: G Suite and pizza restaurant. And with Basecamp, and just so you know, sorry, come back to the camera. Just so you know, there's a lot of personal information here for my other clients. So there will be screens that I won't be showing. I just wanted to go through the basics of how this works. So you have different tools with Basecamp, within a Basecamp. You have Campfire, message board, to-dos, schedule, docs, automatic check-ins, and email forwards. I'm not going to worry about email forwards for the moment. How I work, I've actually created, actually let's start again. So the client gets added to the Basecamp. I'm going to call it Basecamp, to the project. And then I give them access to the Basecamp. So the Campfire is basically a quick, like WhatsApp type messages. So it actually writes down. And you can obviously change to see whether it's just our team, meaning yourself, or the client. So obviously Campfire is kind of a WhatsApp message, a quick kind of question type thing. I prefer my clients to actually use the message board where it kind of outlines it almost like an email. So if I create a new message, you write a title and then write what you want to talk about, discuss. And obviously if I'm writing it, I want to either be for myself, for the team, or or the client can actually see it as well. So I've created this one that's automatic, and it's just the basic welcome. We're going to be using this, Basecamp. Gives you basic ideas of what Basecamp is and what each section does, which we're obviously going to go through. Where they can get access to Basecamp, where they can download it onto their iPhone. And if obviously they need me, they can contact me here. And obviously you could, it's a discussion, so you can actually talk back and forth with these things. So that's message board. To-dos, obviously to-dos. I have one called a to-do list called project, so the client sees that. Admin, certain things that client doesn't need to see, just for myself. So, if there's a project sheet, give them permission and so on. Obviously, I've done this and I've done this, for instance, because I've given the client access to this. I've created the invoice and I've sent the invoice, and get the invoice signed. Well, no, we don't need that, so we delete that. And is the payment received? Yes. Very simple, very easy. Now, if I create a project, create a task, so test task, you can actually assign it to the to either the client or yourself. So this is going to be assigned to them, and notify them about this. When done, notify me. When is it for? And the only problem with Basecamp to-dos, and I really wish they actually added that feature, is that there's no timing on the tasks. There's only dates. I understand the reasons why they've done that, but anyway. And obviously you can add notes and so on. So I will add this to do. And then I will add it. Oh, describe, sorry. Oh no, sorry. I've already added it. I was just creating another task. So now if I go into that task, these are the notes. Me and my client can then communicate about that task, which is really good. It's really, really simple. And the thing with Basecamp, like some of the other tools that there are out there, the client will actually get an email about everything that's happened. So they don't necessarily have to use Basecamp to communicate. They can just send an email. But I prefer them to use Basecamp because it gets them involved a bit more rather than them thinking they're just sending an email. This makes much more sense. So that's the very basics of the tasks, basically, how I set up the tasks. Now, I'll come back to automatic change. So anything that's got a date, any to-do that's got a date will basically go into the schedule. If you notice here, December 21, that's the task that I just created. You can also just add an event that is seen by the client or me. So let's just say end of coaching program. I can set the date whenever I want. I don't actually need to have a time, so I just put all day. So don't repeat it, blah, blah, blah. Notes, again, you can add notes. When I post this note, notify no one. I can post it and notify Cosmo, that is his name actually, Cosmo Kramer. And I post it, and there it is. So if I go to today, I see everything that as a list, everything that happens after that day. If I go to, say, the 30th, I don't see anything before that day. I only see things that are after that day, for instance. And that's the very basics of, and again, the schedule. And again, with this, you can, again, have discussions with it, with specific tasks and events and so on. And I mean, it's just so simple to work with. Docs and files, self-explanatory. I always create one called admin that the client doesn't see. I always create, did I create a folder? No, I didn't. No, well, that's weird. Okay, then you can basically just create, so I just called docs, save, and then I give the client access to that one folder, like this, all done. So anything I put within this folder, the client sees. So as you saw, if I go into that folder, as you saw, you can add Google Doc files, so you just paste the link there, or a Dropbox box and OneDrive, or you can just upload files from your computer. You can also create documents, so they're basic documents. So again, doc, I don't know, test. It's so weird that we just write test all the time. And obviously you can attach files and so on and so forth. So let's, I can't do that one. You know what? Let's do an image. Oh, that's my, let's do that image. That's Illy and that's Bam, my daughter and my son. And that's me when I had yellow hair, yeah. Wow, this is an old photo. Anyway, so and then you can save it as a draft, and it will tell you this draft is unpublished, and you can either continue or just post the document. I will post the document. I don't need to notify anyone. Post. So now, because that document is actually within this docs folder, I called it docs. So there you see. And because the client can see this folder, they can see this file automatically. So I don't have to keep giving access to files. I just create the file or add it into there and they see it. Really simple, and it works really well. Automated check-ins are simply the best feature of this. So I can create a question. So, how has your day been today? Now, this is a kind of completely pointless question, but I'm just going to show you what it is. And I can ask on a specific day, or let's just say I will ask on the Wednesday, which is midweek, once a week. Sorry, on there. You can actually do it every other week, once a week, once a month on the first Tuesday. So let's just say once a week. When do you want to do it? At 9 o'clock, end of day, or let me pick a time. So I'll just say end of day. I want the client to be asked. I don't want to be asked because I'm asking a question to the client. Save my answers. Now, every Wednesday at 4:30, the client will get asked this question. Now, this is invaluable when you're working with clients. I do care about talking to my clients, but if it can be automated, I mean, you still have to come up with the questions, obviously. So each question is relevant to that project, to that client, to that period of time. It's invaluable. And, with the clients that I'm working with, I've set different questions for those clients. Like, I had a client who had issues with kept forgetting kept forgetting to empty their trash bin, believe it or not. So I sent a question at the end of each Friday, I think it was, like 2 o'clock, asking, have you emptied your trash? And they actually do reply, yes, I have, or actually once she said, yes, I have, stop asking, with a smiley face. And other times like, oh, damn, I've forgotten, let me do that now. So it is a question, even though it's automatic, but the question itself is personal. So it's actually quite nice. And there's interaction, there's always interaction with your clients, with my clients anyway. Email forwards I won't go into, but basically it's, if you have a client that emails you about a particular task or whatever, or any email pertaining to that project, I will generally forward it and it goes into there. Now, the client doesn't necessarily need to see it, but you can set it up for them. I'm going to delete this obviously later, so this doesn't matter. So the client doesn't need to see it necessarily, but you can actually set it for the client to see it. But I just wanted to put all the tools that a Basecamp actually has. That's it. I mean, it doesn't need to be complicated. You don't need to overcomplicate. I mean, there's obviously certain things that you need to do and say within each individual to do and so on, but you don't need to complicate the work that you need to do when you're working with clients. The other thing which is not Basecamp, the other thing that I was doing was putting everything. I can't show you because I think I'm going to click it to see my stuff, my schedule. So in my schedule, okay, you can see this. You can add anything in your own schedule in your own Basecamp. So I have a Mac Junkie HQ Basecamp, which is to do with the company, so I can put anything and everything pertaining to my company and me and my personal stuff in there, and it goes into your calendar, basically. And you can subscribe to that calendar, and that's a segue into how I'm dealing with my calendar. Now, I started using Fantastical, and the reason for that was that I wanted to simplify how many inboxes I had. I had Todoist, I had things, I have email, I have now Basecamp. The only tools I use throughout the day are Basecamp, Fantastical, which is my calendar, and my to-do list, and I'm going to go into that, and obviously my email, but I don't live in my email. I live in my calendar and Basecamp. Generally, it's my calendar, actually, but they're the two things that I actually live in. So if you're living in your calendar, nothing's happening, so why are you always there? So my point being, I'm never always there unless I'm being told what to do. I obviously look throughout at the beginning of the day or the day previous as to what I need to do for that day or the next day, but I don't live within a particular app. I don't live in my email for sure. I kind of live in Basecamp because that's where I do my work, but I only go there when there is something to do, and exactly the same with my calendar and my to-do list. Now, I used to use Todoist, and the reason I used it, other than the fact that it is a fantastic app, is that I was also doing my projects in there. That's why I used it as my to-do list. The fact that I'm not using Todoist, Todoist for my projects, and I moved over to my to Basecamp, is the reason why I stopped using Todoist for my to-do items. Because any to-do items pertaining to a project, I put it into that project. Anything pertaining to do with my company, as it were, I do it in my company HQ. If I need to make a quick to-do so I don't forget anything when I'm out and about, I put it into Apple Reminders. And why Apple Reminders? It's insanely simple. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It's insanely simple. It's stupid simple. I don't need to put anything in there. So if you look in there, I have two lists. Tasks, which is everything, whether it's personal or business or work or anything related, I put it in there. And my groceries, what do I need to buy? Green beans, shower gel, and dishwasher tablets. So whenever I come up with something, I just put it into groceries. Or whenever I come up with anything that I need to do for my personal projects or my work projects, I literally put it into here. Why is that? This actually shouldn't be here. Let me delete that because that was a test. That's it. It doesn't have to be complicated. It really doesn't have to be complicated because most of my work is done in. Now, the reason why you're using reminders and the reason why it's never open is because Fantastical actually sees those reminders. Because I want to see what tasks I need to do that are not in my project management tool, Basecamp. That are in my project management tool, Basecamp, and anything else. So before I had three, and the reason why I haven't, So I have three calendars: personal, work, and business. And the reason why they're the same color is because this was the test week to see whether I actually liked having them in the same color. And the only reason they were in different colors was because if I looked at the calendar, I wanted to see what it was. Was it business or personal? But then I realized that was complicating things. So I actually wanted to see one calendar, one color for anything that's in my calendar. So anything that's blue is a calendar item. And in fact, I'm going to give it another few days or a week, and I will probably merge them into one calendar, and I will call it agenda. But right now they're separate. And Basecamp being purple, I tried yellow because Basecamp is yellow, but it just looks weird. So anything that's purple in my calendar is to do with what's in Basecamp, so I can see it. Oh, that's a person. That's a Basecamp thing, and tasks. Why is this not being? And tasks is anything. I don't know what is anything to do with. It should be like this actually. Sorry. Tasks are green, so anything I put into a reminders app, or if I pick up my phone and say, Siri, remind me. Hey Siri, let's do this now. Hey Siri. It's not going to do it because I'm recording the screen. Okay, that's annoying. So I can do anyway. That's stupid. It didn't work. Just like the Cybertruck throwing the steel ball at the glass and breaking. So if I'm out and about and I create a task, it will go into reminders, and then it gets pulled in to my Fantastical, so I can just look at my calendar and see what's in my calendar, what's in my task list, and what's in my projects that I have to do. It cannot get any simpler. It probably will, because me being me, I always want to try to find a simpler way of doing it. But basically, it's just that. It's your calendar, your tasks, and your projects, all rolled into one window. That's why I said I live in my calendar, because I need to know what's going on. That's basically it. I don't, looking at it, what else am I doing? So Google Chrome is obviously my email and things like that. Fantastical, the reason I use it is because I can put my tasks within there and I can see it. Obviously Basecamp, they have an app. You don't need to use the app, you just use it online. I just use the app where I do all my projects and so on. And where is it? I don't know where it is. I don't know what it is. And sorry, again. And my notes, yeah, we won't go into that right now. I use Apple Notes for making notes. But basically, Google Chrome, Fantastical, Basecamp, and Notes are the only things that I use on a daily basis. And that is it. So, did my experiment work? Actually, yes, it did work. And it was mainly to have everything in one place. So I can look at one place, my calendar, and see my project, my calendar, and my to-do lists. Did having my business, personal, and my work calendar as one column, i.e. being merged. Hi, Wolf. He's coming up the stairs, sorry. Did it work having them as one color? So can I merge them into one? Actually, yes, it has. But I'm going to wait a few days, maybe a week, to actually merge them. So I'm going to try keep doing this for another week probably. But if you're looking for an answer, if I want to answer it for myself, yes, it did work. So again, going back to what you actually need to do, have the least amount of inboxes, then that will help you kind of overcome this busyness, like the video I did yesterday. Just very quickly before I finish off, on my phone, it's exactly the same thing. So I have Fantastical on the right, I have Basecamp on the left, and actually that's it, and Gmail being the email app that I use. That's it. So, if I go into my Fantastical, that is my calendar. So will it do that? No, it won't do it properly. So that's it. And go into my Basecamp, go into my where's Cosmo? Let me refresh. Where's Cosmo? There you go. And there are the apps. And you have an activity timeline when you go into the project as to what's going on. So whenever I work with a client, I can see exactly what I'm doing for that client, what they have kind of assigned to me, what I have assigned to them, what kind of check-ins they have, whether they've answered, what kind of questions they have, what they'd like me to do via the message board, what documents have I uploaded or what they've uploaded, and any scheduled bookings have they made. So again, very quickly, did my experiment work? Absolutely. I'm going to test it out for a couple more days, but basically yes. Does it have to be complicated when you're working with your clients? Well, I've shown you, no, it doesn't. Now the issue here is, and I find a lot of people changing tools, like I change tools because I need to, because it's my work and I need to find the better way of working, not just for me, but for my clients, so I know different types of workflows, different ways of working. However, the system shouldn't change. The system, working with your clients, to-dos and notes and stuff, that shouldn't change. The tools can change, however, I wouldn't recommend keep changing them, obviously. Anyway, I hope that's beneficial. It was a longer video today. I just wanted to go through my workflow. I hope that helped you out. And as I said at the beginning, if you have any questions, put them down below or send me a message via my website, macjunkie.com. That's it. Have a great weekend. Keep it simple, and I'll see you next week. Enjoy your weekend. Ciao. Bye-bye.